Well, outside my window, there's a whole lot of trouble coming. The cartoon killers and the rank of clones. Stack heels kicking a rhythm of social circumcision. I can't close the closet on a shoebox full of bones.
All right, gentlemen, welcome to the Week 3 MFFL review. I am your commissioner, Corey Maurer, as always. And I just wanted to go over a little bit of the standings here and some interesting numbers therein. We got the Superstar Division this week with Bad Company and the War Pigs both at 2-1, Kielbasa Kings at 1-2, and the Cartel at 0-3. Interesting numbers here. We've got the War Pigs have 192 points against, which is the least amount in the division, and yet 2-1. So that's kind of telling. Then the All-American division, we got the Treetown Trojans, Sticky Bandits, both 2-1. The new entry teams this year, and we've got the Honolulu Blues and Biohazards, both previous champions, at 1-2. Interesting numbers here. Honolulu Blues 268 points, almost the highest total in the league, second highest, but 253 points against, which is the second most against as well. So a little bad luck there. Power Pack Division, we've got the Untouchables at 3-0, Bionic Commandos 2-1, Broad Street Bullies 2-1, and the Lead Dogs at 0-3. And again, little interesting numbers. Least amount of points against in the league for the Broad Street Bullies at only 163, while only scoring 200 points himself, but he's still 2-1. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, there's a little bit of luck involved. So let's go on with the regular portion of our review.
Ready.
All right, we have Jason Calhoun on the phone of the Treetown Trojans. Unfortunately for him, but fortunately for me, a loser this week. 74-70 to the War Pigs. How you doing, pal?
Doing good. Just trying to get over the loss and leaving a lot of points on the bench, but those things happen, I guess.
Yeah, it's apparently been happening to a lot of people lately. I saw a few people mention that they've left a lot of points on the bench lately. I was one of those guys as well.
Yep.
I had Jordan Howard sitting there for 27 points, and yeah, exactly.
Tyreek Hill too, I think, right?
Yeah, Tyreek Hill with 14, which wasn't quite as bad, but
No.
But man, you had let's see, you had Duke Johnson, which I wouldn't expect you to start him anyway, but still.
Yeah, I wouldn't really play him. I think the big one was Diggs, but
yeah,
like 29.
Diggs with 29, which there's no way, right? I mean, that's who was the quarterback?
Case Keenum, I think.
Yeah.
I might not even be right with that.
Yeah, it's like nobody thought that was going to be coming.
What did he have? Like 3 touchdowns and 390 yards or something?
Yeah, close. I'll give you. Yeah, close.
If you would have told me he was going to have 190 yards and 3 interceptions, I would have said that was more likely.
Yeah, that's just insane. That's just one of those things. You did have Doug Baldwin did pretty well.
Yep.
I was actually happy you started him, considering how Seattle have been playing lately. But
right. Yeah, their O-line is a little messy right now.
Yeah, and I was nervous. I don't know if you watched the beginning of the Pittsburgh game.
Oh, of course, the very first play of the game.
Yeah.
It should have been a 60-yard touchdown.
Yeah, it was right there, and I was already pissed. As soon as I saw it go up in the air, I'm like, oh my God, he's going to catch it, and then he didn't. I was like, oh, thank God.
Well, it's kind of Martavis's MO, right? Like he'll come through one week and then you won't see him for 2, and then he'll blow up for another one. And 2 weeks from now when he's on my bench, probably. So.
Right, exactly. Well, that's interesting too, because that's Big Ben's MO now. Is one
Yep.
week he blows up, and next week, I mean, how do you lose to Chicago?
Honestly, I got knocked out of my survivor pool.
Oh,
I took Pittsburgh, and I was like, how could they lose to Mike Glennon and the Bears?
yeah.
Sure enough, they did.
I don't do any survivor pools, but just doing pick'em is bad enough. Where it's every
Yep.
week, I'm like, that makes no sense. There's no way. Yeah.
There's a lot of parity in the NFL right now, except for a handful of teams that you kind of always bank on, or the defenses are just not great. I don't know. I'm not really sure what the situation is.
Yeah. The question is then, how do you translate that to fantasy football?
Right.
And you're looking at, the biggest flop for you. I mean, maybe not numerically, but Derek Carr.
Yeah, I was a little surprised. He played pretty well. The offensive line had looked good the first couple of weeks, so I wasn't worried about that at all. And I'm certainly not going to play Kaiser over him.
Right.
Sure enough, that would have been the way to go. But I don't know. I'm hoping it's a one-off and they just had a bad game. Boy, the offensive line that was supposed to be pretty good looked pretty bad. So
yeah,
I'm a little worried.
I watched that whole game too, and that was shocking to me that they just Washington looked like the best team I'd seen all year. I was like,
right.
what is going on?
I was a little, and I have a lot of Carr. I really kind of invested a lot in him this year. I really think that he's on the rise.
Yeah.
So that game gave me some pause. I'm not sure what to think. I'm hoping it's an anomaly and I don't have to start worrying about playing Kaiser.
Yeah, that was really strange. Speaking of Kaiser, he did have 27 on your bench. Again, not that you would have played him.
Bye week only, hopefully.
You did have Jared Cook too. Looked pretty good for once.
Every once in a while, right?
But Zach Ertz did well with 11, and that's pretty much it. I guess the other big standout flop there is C.J. Anderson.
Yeah, I didn't really get to see any of that game, so I'm kind of wondering what really happened. I wonder if the game flow got away from Denver and Buffalo just was able to stuff the run, because I don't think Simeon did that great passing either. So
no. That's another game that I wouldn't have picked. I wouldn't have picked Buffalo to beat Denver.
No.
I know that Simeon got picked up in our league recently too for the way he played the first 2 weeks.
Exactly, and I think they started him this week, so that probably didn't go too well for him now.
Yeah. The only thing that I did see was Jamal Charles got a lot of run. So
right, I did see his box score, and I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting stuff. So yeah, and then looking at my side real quick, I know you want to do that.
No, absolutely.
Gronk did come through again with 14 points. Jordy Nelson.
Oh, that second 30 touchdown is what did it.
That was huge. That was huge. And then on the Oakland front, Crabtree, I mean, was a recipient of nothing that entire game and then got hurt. So.
Right. Yeah. Have you seen the update? Is it? Major, or is this a one?
No, they said chest injury, which isn't a usual thing, I would think. Okay. And they did x-rays, which came back negative. So I'm guessing it's just contusion.
Hopefully he plays this week then.
Well, yeah, but I'm already not going to play him just because it doesn't matter. Whatever I do with Tyreek Hill is the wrong thing. So if I start him, he'll do nothing. If I don't start him, he'll score a bunch. So.
Well, who's Hill matched up against and who's Crabtree got this weekend?
I couldn't tell you that off the top of my head. I just know that the way things have been going, I will pick wrong regardless.
You just do the opposite?
Yes. I'm trying to do the opposite.
Yep.
And, that is one thing I wanted to ask you, actually. You do a lot of fantasy leagues, like most of us that were at the draft heard. Do you rely on anyone or any site or anything like that for information as to who you should start and sit every week?
I pretty much, unless it's daily. I kind of listen to some podcasts on Fantasy Sports Radio and XM Radio.
Yep.
They do a pretty good job on their daily stuff. I think Roto Grinders is one of the podcasts pretty good. As far as for seasonal leagues, FantasyGuru.com is a site, that pay site that I do, and I really just use them for some of their preseason articles. I don't really use them in season.
Right.
In season, I kind of do fantasypros.com, and they do a collection of I think it's 60 technical, however you want to call them, industry league experts rankings, and then they kind of average all down to one output. So the fantasypros.com is a free site. And they're usually pretty good. They have weekly and seasonal. So I just use it as a guide. I really don't like to be like a ranking slave and say, oh, well, so-and-so was number 12 wide receiver, but number 14, so I better play number 12, because you don't want to be dictated to like that. So I like to kind of just see what their idea is. So if I'm between two players, I'll see if what I'm thinking of is way off from what they have, then I'll reconsider what I'm doing. But I like to kind of do my own thing and just kind of I do the red zone, so I kind of try to catch a lot of the highlights.
Yep.
And then just kind of see what the game flow is going, and who's at home and who's on the road and who's hot. So a little bit of everything, really, I guess, what it comes down to.
Yeah. I mean, that's a problem that I've been having a lot lately. I feel like specifically this week, for example, would be Jordan Howard, where he comes off an injury. He's seen in a sling last week after the game for his shoulder. He played awful.
Cohen's up and coming.
Right.
Everyone's in love with Cohen.
Right. And then he comes up against a good, supposedly, defense in Pittsburgh, and he runs all over them. And I'm just like, whoa. What?
That's one of the things where I think sometimes everyone falls in love with the new guy. Everyone was hyping up Cohen, who's good, but he's small. He's not an every down back.
Right.
I think he's only 5'6", 5'7".
Yeah.
He's really a small guy.
Right.
And the Bears just aren't going to run him out there every down. I mean, look what happened to Sproles for Philly. They tried to run him every down.
Brutal.
He blows his leg and his wrist. They're just little guys. They can't handle every down work. So I think Howard, unless he's truly hurt, you still got to play him.
Yeah.
He's going to be their workhorse until he goes down.
I guess.
I see Cohen taking on more of a role.
No, I was more concerned with the injury than anything else, and it was just surprising to me. And this always happens, I look up multiple sites, some of the ones you mentioned as well, and then everyone said, "Oh, you got to sit this guy. Oh, you got to sit this guy.
Right.
It's too dangerous." Blah blah blah, and wow, that's just
it's definitely hard, because you think that everyone's and they're right. I think a lot of the process is correct, but then you got to say, well, Big Ben's not good on the road, which I didn't really believe that much until this year, and it's again in the short sample of the 2 games on the road, he's been terrible.
Right.
And then the Bears have been kind of stout against the run, and the Bears have been playing okay this year, really, which is amazing, because I don't really get how they could do it with Glennon. I think he only had three passes to wide receivers. I don't know how you can win a game like that, but they did.
Yep.
So
very strange. Very strange.
Very tricky.
Well, listen, man, it was good to talk to you. I'm sorry, kind of, that you came out on the short stick this week.
Hey, those things happen, right? I'll take it 2-1. I'll take 2-1 after 3 weeks.
Oh, for sure. You're looking good. I do, looking at your lineup, it's interesting to think that you and Sticky Bandits are the 2 new teams, and both your teams look pretty decent right now. So
so far, I mean, it can always change pretty quick, but I'm pretty happy with how they're playing and who I've got so far. So I'm really looking forward to Mixon. I think this week Mixon's going to have a breakout against Cleveland, and I'm going to be less upset that I passed over Hunt to get Mixon. So
well, nobody thought that Ware was going to be out for the year at that point, so that was a big difference.
No, I know. If we had had the draft, I think 2 days later, I think a lot of people would not have passed on Hunt that way. So,
but you're right.
Is everything.
Yeah, But you're right about Mixon. I did see a lot of that game, and he looked easily better than the other 2 that they had. So it's like, guys, just use him.
I know. And boy, then you got to go to the coaching, because I think he's one of those coaches, Lewis, that just loves to play veterans no matter what. And it's like, the one guy is clearly better than the other. Hill is a dinosaur in terms of RBs. You just got to move on. Yeah.
Well, and that's one of those guys also I look at as that coach. I don't know how he's had a job for the last few years, because
I think A.J. Green has kept him employed, him and Dalton employed for a couple years now.
I guess. I don't understand it. But anyway, all right, man. Well, I will talk to you later, and good luck next week, pal.
You too.
All right.
Talk to you later.
See ya. All right, and our next reviewed game is the Sticky Bandits beating the Lead Dogs 75-55. The losing lead dogs had Matthew Stafford with 15, Chris Hogan with 18, and the kicker with 12. That's pretty much it. Of note, lead dog started Jalen Richard for Oakland. Came up with 0 points. And on his bench, we had Taylor Gabriel, 13, Devontae Parker with 13. Not much else to go on there. Not a lot of room to wiggle there. Also of note, Jason Witten, 0, Marvin Jones, 2. Pretty rough week. Sticky Bandits came through with Aaron Rodgers, 26. Brandon Cooks blew up with 27, and that's pretty much all he needed there. On the bench, Jay Cutler with 12, and that's pretty much it. So it looks like Sticky Bandits did what he could and started who he needed to. Lead dogs, I mean, he had a couple receivers there. He could have subbed one in. That still wouldn't have made a difference in the outcome. So that's how it goes for that one. And next we've got the Untouchables beating the Honolulu Blues 94-81, which was my game of the week. Very high scoring affair. Honolulu Blues would have beat almost anybody else, as seems to be what happens to him this year. The Untouchables came through 32 for previously nothing man Russell Wilson. Devonta Freeman with 19. AJ Green also almost did nothing the entire season, all 3 games of it before now, was 17. The Lions defense with 10. Yeah. Honolulu Blues, I don't know, might be looking for a new quarterback. 13 points for Cam Newton, 13 points for Carolina, just didn't do much, had 1 rushing touchdown, that's it. 167 passing yards versus a notoriously bad Saints defense. Todd Gurley blew up 32 points on a huge high-scoring game between the Rams and the 49ers, which nobody would have predicted. Antonio Brown was 17. Des Bryant was 7. On the bench for the Untouchables, 24 for Deshaun Watson, 10 for Chris Carson, 13 for Fournette. Shocking he didn't start Fournette. I'm actually shocked he didn't get more than 13 with 44 points for Jacksonville, 15 for his kicker. Honolulu Blues bench, not a lot there. So, I don't know, some bad luck for Honolulu Blues, but I think he probably might want to be shopping for a quarterback. And next up, we've got the Broad Street Bullies blowing out the Kielbasa Kings 77-49. Not that 77 was a huge amount. Kings 49, rough game. Here's how this looked. Tom Brady 37, Kings 49. Yeah. He got 22 from Dalvin Cook. That's all he needed. That's all he needed to beat the Kings. Kings with 13 from Roethlisberger, 21 from Carlos Hyde was huge, especially since it looked like he was going to leave that game early. Came back and blew up. Christian McCaffrey, big receiving day, but no touchdowns, which is maybe what you're going to be expecting from him. 11 points from McCaffrey, though. Big ones here. Kelvin Benjamin goes down early for Carolina, who looks awful as a team. 0. Amari Cooper were the drops. An Oakland team that looked awful. 0. Hunter Henry, did nothing. I don't know what's going on. Antonio Gates drinks from the fountain of youth, apparently, and Hunter Henry also nothing. Even the Baltimore Ravens defense, nothing. Kielbasa Kings looking rough on the bench, nothing to speak of. I don't know. It's got some soul searching to do for the former 3-time champ. And the Broad Street Bullies, 11 for Jamal Charles on the bench. That's an interesting person to watch. Sterling Shepard with 19. Golden Tate with 11. Interesting game. Next, we've got the Bionic Commandos defeating the Cartel 77-57. Another low-scoring game for the Cartel, as he's noted on the site himself. Michael Thomas with 14. Carson Wentz with a rough 13. Everybody else in single digits. On the bench, you did have Marcus Mariota with 19. Blunt had 12 for a comeback. Garcon for 14. Sammy Watkins for 22. Kicker for 10. A lot of points on the bench. A lot of points. I don't know if anybody there really stands out as somebody that he should have started necessarily. But man, it was another rough week for the cartel. The winning Commandos, though, had 20 from Drew Brees, 11 for Gore, 21 for T.Y. Hilton, with Jacoby Brissett, pretty sure that's his first name, throwing to him for the Colts, who actually looked decent, unbelievably. Matt Prater, the kicker, with 14. On his bench, DeMarco Murray, 17. Robbie Anderson for 15. Larry Fitzgerald for 20. Ted Ginn for 11. The Bengals defense for just all kinds of points, flying all over the place. Both of these teams, how about that for a total? If you played the benches, 92 for Commandos, 111 for the Cartel. Those are good benches, folks, but they don't really count for anything. And last but not least, the Bad Company defeats the Biohazards, the Biohazards 94-77. Biohazards 19 from Matt Ryan, 15 from Le'Veon Bell, 24 from Chris Thompson again. Biohazard's best player at this point is Chris Thompson. Let that sink in. Big fat 0 from Mike Wallace. Unsure why he was started over Odell Beckham. Sure, hindsight's 2020, but still. Mike Wallace. Kyle Rudolph with 0. A few rough spots here for the Biohazards. A respectable 77. Would have beat me this week, but not Bad Company. Bad Company with 26 from Kirk Cousins, 15 Ezekiel Elliott, 24 Kareem Hunt continues to impress. And Vernon Davis, I watched a lot of this game. He looked pretty good. Maybe sipping the same drinks that Antonio Gates is having. He had 11. On the bench for the winning company, Deshaun Jackson with 14. Nobody else really to speak of. And the aforementioned Odell Beckham for the Biohazards with 19, 10 for the kicker. And that'll do it this week, gentlemen. Make sure you stay for the always amusing credits. Have a good week.
Sleeping in the city, you know I'm looking for a fight.